Coming to Taft was the best decision I have ever made. Don't get me wrong, Taft isn't awesome all the time. It probably doesn't feel awesome right now at school meeting if you have a test to study for, or if you're giving this meeting speech and feel like passing out. It probably doesn't feel awesome if you just got cut from a sports team, like my freshman year, when I tried out for a full 15 minutes before Mr. Miller told me that I'd be wonderful in JV. I know for sure it felt a little scary 4 years ago when I first heard my roommate Wallace Kinney sneeze. I still jump a little when I hear it. But there are moments, especially for us seniors, when we think about a future beyond Taft and realize that it is almost impossible to imagine life without the school. I know that I have a family here, a home. Of course, all the sentimental stuff doesn't just come at once. Freshman year, when I was walking back from actually practicing the piano in the basement at 7:45 p.m., I thought I'd be severely incapacitated or at least blinded before I could make it out of the dark hallways. Who knows, perhaps I am traumatized, but I know that Taft wouldn't be so terrible when I stopped calling my mom 3 times a day. I knew it a little later when I accidentally referred to Taft as home, and my mom was the one who stopped calling me. So what exactly makes Taft home? Or for you guys who don't consider Taft a home yet, what would make it more comfortable here? First and foremost, it's the people. Our classmates, our teachers, our friends. We're teenagers, so it's a given that friends are a big part of our lives. So instead, let me first tell you about the value of treating teachers not just as authorities, but also as friends. For example, you know that friend you can always vent to? There are teachers like that too. I don't know how many times I have complained about my problems to Mr. Pierpont, my piano teacher, or to Miss Lee, my voice teacher, who just gives me a really painful neck massage and tells me not to work myself too hard. Miss Monty and Mr. Clifford, the Mac House mom and dad, are the friends who always make time for you. They are probably the busiest people in the world, but they're always willing to bake for us or to regale us with funny stories from their Yale days. Mr. and Mrs. Benedict are the fun friend next doors with whom we play competitive bananagrams and later eat an entire Fudgy the Whale with. Miss Chandler is the wise friend who always knows what to do in a sticky situation. She always finds ways to make sure things work out in the end. The second part to making Taft a home has to do with developing the individual, yourself. Sometimes it might feel like we are all part of the Taft stream, pushed along and following where everyone else is going, because we all think that's the way it's supposed to be. But to become truly comfortable, it is important to carve out a little place uniquely for yourself where you can have respite from all the Taft busyness. You feel in control in this place. You enjoy spending your time here and you get into your own zone. This place might be acting, it might be playing soccer, or even running gels in a lab. Shout out to Sarah Nyquist, the best science nerd in the world, who ran gels while we were raving in Woo. For those of you who haven't found your spot yet, don't worry. Taft has so many opportunities for you to carve a niche for yourself. If a certain subject is interesting to you, take a year to do an ISP. Perhaps if you're more serious about a subject and want to design your own course, we have independent tutorials. Ms. Chandler and I have loads of fun in my current IT and history. We have the freedom to explore, go a little off track sometimes, and still learn much history that we could have never found in a textbook. The most important thing is to remember that it's never too late to start something, even if it means going against the flow. It's okay to take a course you're interested in rather than a more popular one, or to start an entirely new activity your senior year. It took me a really long time to realize this. There's nobody stopping you. Finally, the last and most important thing for creating a home at Taft are the memories you make here. There is a reason why when we come back from town to see Taft aglow with lights, we feel safer. There's a reason why after vacations, we drop our suitcases in the room, and there's an inexplicable sense of belonging. So, to end my speech, I'd like to entertain you with advice from some of my funnier memories and the lessons I've learned in the last 4 years. 1. On April Fool's Day, if 2 seniors like Sarah Guernsey and Lily Bell Vibrands hide a Ziploc bag of oregano in your room and decide to bust you for weed. Stay calm and look for the hidden camera. If you don't find the camera, you better explain yourself. 2, if your friend has a fish, ask her clearly for directions before feeding it. You don't want to accidentally pour the entire pack of feed into the tank and forever be known in Mac House as the fish killer. 3, after a spring collegium concert, if you're walking back to Taft and you see the sun going down behind the hills and spreading its rays across Taft's fields, and you suddenly hear the theme song from Sound of Music playing in your head, stop and don't do anything. Do not decide to pick up your skirts like Julie Andrews and skip down the hill singing. It only works in movies. Here, there are rocks that make you trip over and fall on your face. I'm pretty sure I still have a dent in my forehead to show it. 4, if you live in Mac House, there are 3 essential survival tools: towels, a bucket, and a solid pair of rain boots. If you have a squeegee, you might win MVP for our annual flood rescue tournament. 5, never ask Caitlin Kennedy about her Gilmore Girls TV set. You will get no work done for the rest of your life. And then you two will end up quoting Lorelai and eating just as much as she does too. 6, it's that day you really, really, really don't want to give a tour, but you see Miss Burns hovering around the servery. It's your free block. She knows it, and you know it too. If it is not possible to turn around and sprint in the other direction, it's too late. There is no way you can say no. The guilt will eat at you forever. 7, for you AP Bio students, there's a particular chapter when Miss Monty when Miss Monty decides it's a good idea to put up when Miss Monty decides it's a good idea to put up giant diagrams of uncomfortable anatomical parts on the smartboard for you to label them. Do not make eye contact. That was my mistake and I'm still blushing from the incident. 8, if you get hypnotized, don't let the scary man shake your hand. Trust me. All in all, memories make up such a huge part of being at Taft. So concentrate on the happier things in life and put behind the things that bring you down. After all, one day, each one of us will leave here, and we definitely want to leave here with the best memories. Thank you.
Hello, I'm Alexandra Makkonen, and I'm a 4-year senior. I'd like to open with a briefly abridged version of the love song of J. Alfred Prufrock by T.S. Eliot. Ma per certi di me di questo fondo, non torno vivo alcun si odio il vero, senza tema di infamia ti rispondo. Let us go then, you and I, when the evening is spread out against the sky, like a patient etherized upon a table. Let us go through certain half-deserted streets, the muttering retreats of restless nights and one-night cheap hotels, and sawdust restaurants with oyster shells. Streets that follow like a tedious argument of insidious intent, to lead you to an overwhelming question. Oh, do not ask, what is it? Let us go and make our visit. In the room, the women come and go, talking of Michelangelo. The yellow fog that rubs its back upon the window panes, the yellow smoke that rubs its muzzle on the window panes, licked its tongue into the corners of the evening, lingered upon pools that stand in drains, let fall upon its back the soot that falls from chimneys, slipped by the terrace, made a sudden leap, and seeing that it was a soft October night, curled once about the house and fell asleep. And indeed, there will be time for the yellow smoke that slides along the street, rubbing its back upon the window panes. There will be time to prepare a face to meet the faces that you meet, There will be time to murder and create, and time for all the work and days of hands that lift and drop a question on your plate. Time for you, and time for me, and time yet for 100 indecisions, 100 visions and revisions till the taking of a toast and tea. In the room, the women come and go, talking of Michelangelo, and indeed there will be a time to wonder, do I dare and do I dare to turn back and descend the stair with a bald spot in the middle of my hair? And they will say, how his hair is growing thin. My morning coat, my collar mounting firmly to the chin, my necktie rich and modest but asserted by a simple pin. They will say, how his legs and arms are thin. Do I dare disturb the universe? In a minute, there is time for decisions and revisions which a minute will reverse. For I have known them all already, known them all, have known the evenings, mornings, afternoons. I have measured out my life in coffee spoons. I know the voices dying with the dying fall beneath the music from a further room. So how should I presume? And would it have been worth it after all, after the cups, the marmalade, the tea, among the porcelain, among some talk of you and me? Would it have been worthwhile to have bitten off the matter with a smile, to have squeezed the universe into a ball, to roll it towards some overwhelming question, to say, I am Lazarus, come from the dead, come back to tell you all, I shall tell you all? If what? Settling a pillow by her head, should say, it is not what I meant at all. It is not it at all. And would it have been worth it after all? Would it have been worthwhile? After the sunsets and the dooryards and the sprinkled streets? After the novels, after the teacups, after the skirts that trail along the floor? No. I am not Prince Hamlet, nor was meant to be. I grow old, and I shall wear the bottoms of my trousers rolled. Shall I part my hair behind? Do I dare to eat a peach? I shall wear white flannel trousers and walk upon the beach. I have heard the mermaids singing, each to each. I do not think that they will sing to me. I have seen them riding seaward on the waves, combing the white hair of the waves' boned back, when the wind blows the water, white and black. We have lingered in the chambers of the sea, by seagulls wreathed with seaweed red and brown, till human voices wake us, and we drown. Today I want to talk about something personal. Because of that, I shall be obscure, and I apologize. I do not expect you to understand anything I say today, but I hope it stirs in you something that has been stirring in me for a long while. It is a question to which there is no answer, yet I find it in the sea, smooth for a moment against white shores, in the silent snow, in soufflés, and in the laughter of children. It is the overwhelming question which haunts us and which we fear. It is home, heaven, and purpose. I find it in the gentle sway of boats, in the kiss of a crisp spring morning when all is glittering for the cold. I find it in the musty smell of books and the open breath of summer hills. I hope heaven has a library, because if not, I will lose sight of the greatest city. I hope heaven has seas, wider and more furious than any we have ever known. I hope it has chickens, because I have always wanted chickens. And I wish you could see the world as I do, through a window lined with chipping white paint and fogged by unclear glass. There is no face that looks back at me in understanding. Instead, there is a glorious question mark, a carrot patch, and a willow tree. I am young. I have a right to dream, yet I may lose myself in pondering. And from my dreams I have learned the metaphor of simplicity and the valor of a good cup of tea. I do not care what shoes you wear. I do not care if your friends are orthodox in behavior. I do not care about your views on taxation. These things will pass. Instead, we must live in love and in truth, overcoming temporary temptations. We must live today as if we were to leave tomorrow. I fear I do not believe in God, but I pray that every day I will find him. Yet ultimately, we must find peace in chaos here on earth, Beyond our walls, there is a world we are yet to explore. Do not be hindered by stereotypical expectations. Pursue happiness here when heaven is in doubt. From this, reality becomes your poetry. And if there is no God, you will live briefly in a field of contentment. And no iPod will give you that. But Eliot, I answer your question. Just beyond your mind, in a place uncharted right beneath your feet. This is the only thing I know to be true, a hope that will persist. Thank you.